And hello and welcome to A Lot of Help with James Lott Jr. I am James Lott Jr. of the James Lott Jr. A Lot of Help. And welcome to the show today. I'm so happy to have you guys here today. I hope everybody's healthy and happy and working on themselves. I'm going to set up the chat live to make sure that it's okay. It says we're coming on. For some reason, it's taking a little bit longer than normal, but I'm going to set this up over here. Make sure that's closed. Okay, that's turned off. But hello, everybody. I'm going to do a little church announcements first. I always say this is JLJ Media. This is my online network. I just started about a year ago, and we're doing really well. And we have a lot of programming. So please subscribe and see if there's anything you might like on here, actually. And we also have an audio component. So we're on every streaming platform you can think of, from iHeartRadio to Spotify, Google, everything. And just look for JLJ Media. Look for our shows. A Lot of Help is on there. Go ahead and follow. They have different things. You can say follow, say subscribe, whatever, like, hit those and share with a friend. Tell a friend. Yes, we're here working hard. Hello, Charles Jackson. So if you have any questions as we're talking, please put in the chat room. Anything PG-13 or PG, it's fine. It's the middle of the day. My guest, I was on his program, actually called Showing Up. It's out now. And I was telling him last night, I read the comments. And it was like people were just like, very happy with the show. So I was very happy about that. I'm gonna read what he wrote down, because I think some of these are keywords that I'm gonna ask him about during the interview. Spiritual entrepreneur, human connection coach. Well, rabbi, we know what a rabbi is. And I'm a father myself, so happy Father's Day to him, father. 12 years sober and counting, as he puts it. I love that. Happy birthday to him for doing those. He founded Transcend, which is a recovery community, in 2008. And of course, this podcast Showing Up with Asher. And I'm welcoming my special guest today, Asher Gottesman. Hi, Asher.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on. So exciting and so incredible what you've built over such a short period of time.
14 years ago, I started this journey. 14 years ago, I started this whole journey of changing my life at 40 and just starting, I'm going to change my life and just do everything. And so the online network thing came a year ago after 13 years out there with other people, and decided I'm gonna do it myself. I think I like being crazy, I guess, because it's the hardest thing in my life. But it's very rewarding, and I wanted to create the world I wanted to see. How's that?
Love it. Love it.
Like on my show on your show with me. Hello, folks in the chat room. There's a lot to unpack with you. Like you said with me, it's a lot to unpack with me. So I know where I want to start. I already know where I start. Again, happy Father's Day to you. I'm a father and grandfather myself, as you know, and so we had our day. So I'm going to ask you, first of all, what does Father's Day actually mean to you?
It's a great question. You know, being a father, although natural and I love it, wasn't always the easiest job I had. And what I mean by that is, in the field that I get to work in helping people with addiction, mental health, and spiritual crises, as they say, I get a lot of adulation, admiration. You know, I get to help people and they're like, oh my God, wow, you're so good, you're amazing. You don't necessarily get that as a father, right? You know, they call you on your blank. I don't know if you said PG.
If one slips out here and there, it's fine. I'll talk to the boss.
They call you. They call you on your shit. Yeah, and they're real, and they don't have to offer you the smiles and admiration all the time. So it's the real job, and it's the in and out day, and it's the most important role I play in my life. Is these people that I brought into the world. I have 5 children, and I'm actually a grandfather as well. And those people are my most important assets, my most important commodities, my most important beings, and most importantly, my most important jewels. And it's my job to polish them and nourish them and be there with them, and then allow them to flourish and be themselves in the world.
I just want to tell you on a side note, being completely shallow, I love your facial hair. Looks good on you.
Thank you. I'll take it.
I know sometimes you have it off. So actually, like, we change our looks sometimes, but I'm like, I like the facial hair. It looks really good on you. You have a very nice smile. That's another story. It's funny. It's funny how I like the way you put that, because I became the father I didn't have by being a father with my kids. there are things that I lacked in a parent. My father literally just was not really good. That I didn't realize until I had a grandchild, that actually I kind of worked out some of that stuff, and I put conscious effort into the kids. I have two daughters, and our relationships are great, and they literally mirrored it back to me. That was like, well, James, there's no reason for you to search for a father. I mean, it's like you became the father within you, so to speak. And I was able to be a great father to them,
Wow.
flaws and all, flaws and all. And that was a big revelation for me. I was like in my 30s when I figured that out. I was like, oh, okay. So then once that happened, I was able to go on a path to forgive my father, my own father.
Love it.
And so it's funny how the world works that way, that we bring these people into our lives, literally, create them, and the lessons they can teach you.
Absolutely. That's the truth. Our greatest teachers.
Our greatest teachers. They're right there. Like I said, they're right there. They're mirrors. They're everything. They're right there. And what is one of the through line lessons you have learned as a parent through all 5 kids?
I've learned that, what true unconditional love means. I have learned that I believe, it's a generational shift. And I actually told this to my mother. I learned that I must love my children no matter what, not that they must love me no matter what. That's what I've learned. I've learned that.
Say that one more time. I love that. I've never heard that before. I love that. Say it please one more time. That what you just said.
I must love my children no matter what, and not that they must love me no matter what. It's not about me. And then the other thing that I learned is unconditional love does not mean unconditional support. And without providing healthy boundaries and without using the word no, I am stealing from them valuable lessons, because it's much easier to say yes. It's much easier to no curfews. It's much easier to be Disneyland dad. And, so I think that is, whereas the generation that we come from was, you got to love your parents no matter what. So I would like to suggest that if someone came to me, I say, you got to respect your parents no matter what. And, and I say, you got to respect all human beings no matter what. So that's my goal. And if I had to educate my children with one thing, that's what it would be. It would be, we must respect others no matter what.
My thing I've learned is my parents are human.
Yep.
As a kid, you're not supposed to know that. I think you're not supposed to know that. But as an adult, being a parent myself and navigating the world as an adult, having relationships and all that stuff goes on, I was like, oh, they're adults, they're humans. Okay, got it. Like they're not the all magic beings that are supposed to, present everything to me and take everything away. It's like okay. It was a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Let's say it was hard to accept at first. It was hard to accept.
Sure.
Isn't that funny? But the kids taught me that. They totally taught me that. What kind of dad are you?
I'm a fun dad, by and large. I'm very warm, snuggly kind of guy. One thing I have to work on, because I have ADD, is being present. So I like to play games, do activities together so I can stay present. But my favorite night of the week is my Saturday night movie night with the kids. As they get older, they do their own thing. But then I get, the younger ones, traveling and taking trips with the kids, and are really so much fun. And they're just the apples of my eye. Okay. So what kind of dad am I? I'm less the disciplinarian kind. That's the truth. I'm more the, yet when I do get upset, okay. I'm not a yeller. I used to be a yeller. Yeah. I'm not a yeller anymore. I find that it's very hurtful and not helpful at all. And when I yell, I found it was about me. It had nothing to do with them.
Yeah, I have a deep voice, so I never had to yell.
So
when I'm mad, I get mad, my voice drops even more in my octaves. So I've been very fortunate that I never had to really yell. I give a look and my voice goes really deep and they get it.
I think my kids would describe me as a heart with feet.
I like that, a heart with feet. Like that.
Yeah.
Like that. You said something also, again, dropping these gems on me that you just said I liked, about respecting your parents. And that's something that I had to come to too. It took me about 10 years, I mean, to be very honest, to come to that. To go, okay, I just see them for who they are. And I always tell this story. It was Brene Brown, who I love, who was on Oprah one day. I ever turned on, and she said a phrase that changed my life forever. And that was, forgiveness is giving up the hope the path could be any different. And that just clicked for me, because I was hoping that my father said, I'm sorry, or my mother said this, magically everything would be wonderful again. But really, things happen the way they happen. They made me who I am, for better or for worse. You can't take them away, and I can't hold them accountable for it either anymore. Like I'm holding myself hostage by holding them hostage.
Sure.
That makes sense, right? So,
Absolutely.
that was like, wow, that was a big moment for me. And
yeah. So, yeah, it was. Yeah, it's not natural. Yet, I say, I've learned it in my life that we can't demand respect. We can only command respect. And how do we command respect? By being respectful. I can't expect you to respect me if I don't respect you. So, and I grew up in a very religious household. And so and then I've had my own inner struggles with religion. And so I work with a lot of people who have struggles with religious families or religious parents. And, and I say, and I tell them, you don't have to prove anything, right? So if I asked you, sorry about that. If I asked you, to dress in a certain way, you wouldn't think something of me differently. You may agree, you may not agree. So if your parents ask it of you, yes, you may agree or disagree. You don't have to be disrespectful about it, right? It doesn't have to be personal. It does unfortunately, it does many times happen to be personal, but as we become adults, it doesn't have to be anymore. So I know, you can get rid of the middle finger, because at the end of the day, the middle finger is only a weight on my shoulders. So, so if I have to put on a collared shirt to go see my parents, great. Big deal. You know what I'm saying? If the Sabbath is a thing, you observe the Sabbath, you're not supposed to drive. If I have to park a block away, big deal. Who cares?
Right.
Now, It used to be, oh, you got to love me for who I am, respect me for who I am, and you better. So I'm going to park in front of the house. I'm going to dress how I want. I'm going to have my piercings in my nose and my ears and my who knows where. And you're going to respect. And that's bullshit. Sorry. That's demanding respect, not commanding.
Now, I'm going to stop you there for a second, because the younger generation, because I agree with you completely. I'm like you. I mean, we're old guys, apparently, to young folks. Right. Oh, my sister's in here. Hi, sis. They would say that we are dinosaurs in the way we think, and that no, they should accept me. And if I don't want to put on a collared shirt, that's against who I am. I'm like you. I go, there's just things that really don't matter in the big picture. Like, to me, they really don't. Like, if it's for 3 hours, I have to smile for 3 hours, maybe once every 3-4 weeks. Who gives a shit? Who cares?
Right.
Like, who cares? Is it breaking my soul? No, not really. I mean, it's like, okay, well, I got to, or they offer me carrots, and they know I hate carrots, but they still offer it every time I come there. Is it annoying? Sure, but like, I just politely say no, thank you. They leave it alone, and then we go about our bit. Like, it's just one of those kind of things. Like, I mean, so what do you say to the younger people who would say, well, Asher, that is just like, no, you gotta take me as I am, or whatever, every time.
I understand that you'd like somebody to take you as you are. Me too. Let's start with that. I would like somebody to take me as I am, no matter what, whenever. Now, unfortunately, that's not the rule of the world. They don't take us as we are. Not all the time. We can find a community of people that take us as we are. And, you should find those people and spend most of your time with them. Okay. Yet, if you were going for a job interview, okay, and it had a dress code at the job interview, would you show up and say, take me as I am? If you really wanted the job.
Right.
So let me know how that's working out for you in the areas where you really want. Okay. If they were dropping your best piece of clothing that you wanted, okay, the newest Yeezys, and you were going to get them at cost, okay, and you had to put on a certain t-shirt, would you do it? Of course you would. Okay, so what? So again, you want to fight that battle? Go for it. I'm not going to stop you. I don't have a judge. I'm not judging you. So you want to go do it? Go do it. I'm just telling you, you know, when you cease fighting it, it usually works out for you. And if that's who you are, listen, if you have a tattoo on your neck, I'm not telling you to take off your tattoo to go see your parents, right? Okay, you got it. Big deal.
Yeah.
You know what? But if you wore a polo shirt and it covered it up a little bit so there wasn't a point of discussion every time you were there, you know, yes. Do you want them to accept you for who you are? I get it. It's only because you have a piece of you that's not accepting you for who you are. So once you fully accept you for who you are, you really could care less about it.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sam.
So that's what I say to them. And I say, you know what? It's much easier for me to say it than do it. And I fail sometimes too.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, we all do. Right.
Yeah.
Again, we're human.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens. And so it happens, you know, you're now part of 5 or 6 guys now that are cool rabbis. I know some cool rabbis apparently. I keep meeting cool rabbis. And you're one of them. And so I've had some great discussions on my shows over the years with some great rabbis. But you have a distinction other than the others. You come from a rabbi, a prominent
I do.
rabbi. And I wanted to ask you, was there a time you had to feel like you had to live in that? Or were you able to go, I'm carving out my own path as a rabbi? Or did you feel like you have to follow?
So again, I didn't, he was a rabbi of a day school in a community. I never did that. My rabbinics more was for fun at the time. It was a challenge, really. I never thought I'd use it. I do use it now in my work, in the sense that I use it to keep confidentiality with clients because I'm not a licensed therapist.
Right.
I use it for all the lessons that I've learned, and I can convey and share and walk on journeys with other people. But I don't use it for traditional, typically, unless it's for dear friends. I don't use it for traditional religious services. I've officiated at, Jewish and non-Jewish weddings. So, the non-Jews didn't really care that I was a rabbi, I guess. But they needed the rabbi so I could sign on the paperwork, right? So that was my my form of officiation. Well, what's the word? My form of, I don't know.
I'm an ordained minister too.
Yeah, exactly. My form of ordination.
Ordination,
or ministry. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So, so that's the short of it is, I'm very non-traditional as a rabbi. Yet at the end of the day, my father I ran away from was my ultimate teacher. And my father gave on, and it goes back actually to your first question about Father's Day. My father was this incredible man that I had challenges with, and so many people told me he saved their lives. And yet as a dad, we conflicted at times. And I said to him, Dad, my entire life I ran away from you. I didn't want to be religious because of you, and I didn't want to not be religious in case you were right. Little did I know I'd end up doing exactly what you did, just for a different population. You gave unconditional love to Jewish youth, and I get to give it to people who suffer. And then I changed it, actually, after he passed away. And I said, Dad, actually, now I fully understand everything. You received unconditional love from Jewish youth, and I receive it from people who suffer. And therefore, that was why we wanted to spend so much time doing that. And I'm not going to forget my most important role, which is that being a dad, which I wanted to, so it was a big lesson.
Okay, the kids, ages, genders.
Girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. Let's start with.
Okay, that's interesting. Wow, okay.
Ariel, Jacob, Serena, Nathaniel, Evie. Also all born between November 1st and January 8th.
What?
Yeah, and all approximately 3 years apart. There's a little more of a break between, no, there's a little over 4 years between Serena and Nathaniel. So it's like 3 and 2. It's kind of funny. And my grandchild, Aaron, was born in February. And I'm 46. So I could technically be a agile great grandfather.
Well, you're younger than I'm 52, so I mean, I have a grandson who's grown, so yeah, I could easily be a great grandfather. Don't do it, Satan. Don't do it. I don't want to be. I don't be a great grandfather yet. But yes, I can easily be a great grandfather myself. I started young. My daughter started young, but I have a new grandbaby who just came. It was a big grid. So it's like the last one was 14. Now I got a 3-month-old. So it's like very interesting change. The other kid had a kid.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. I'm in love with them completely. I mean, I love newborns. Newborns are just like the smell, their sense of wonder, their sense of just like curiosity. He's a good baby. He's very friendly. I'm just so love them. I just want to eat them. I know why animals eat their young. It's so delicious. Delicious. I love them. That's Trent. So hello, Trenton out there. But with the space with the kids, are you a different kind of dad to the younger ones than you were with the older ones? Because you're at a different time in your life. I noticed that with my grandkids, I'm much different with the younger ones than the olders. Yeah.
Yeah, I've evolved. I've grown. My priorities have changed. So therefore, yeah, I'm more present. I understand more about myself. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a learning process. It's I say we mess up our children the best way we know how, because there's no guidebook, right? So hopefully we learn from the mistakes of one not to do it with the other. And I've learned, I only think that in the last 5, 6, 7 years that I've learned my most important role as a dad is to actually let my children know that they are heard. That I am hearing them, that I'm listening, that they have a valid point, right? I know it doesn't mean I have to agree or say yes. It means that I have to acknowledge that they too have a valid point.
I have a show about being a grandparent. You need to come on that show. You need to come on that show.
I'm in.
So it's all just about that. So it's a whole show about that. So I'm
just a newbie, but I'm in.
That's the point. I know I have specific questions that I'm going to save for that show. So I'm writing down right now to contact you to set up that one, because I have a whole separate. It's a popular show, actually. It's a very popular show about being a grandparent, new, young, awesome. Whatever. So I think it'll be good for that, because you're a young grandparent. So I want to actually save those questions for that.
Can't wait.
Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you, like myself, as you know, I share a lot of my personal journey to the public. Meaning, meaning, and when I say public, well, for me it is on camera, but also my coaching clients, organizing. I share parts of myself, not all of it, but parts of myself. Going through your stuff, I'll put the website he has in the description. When you go on there, you see a lot of stuff that he talks about in there, and you see his interviews, his links to everything he's done. I wanted to ask you, when did you choose to share to decide to share your personal journey, and has it gotten easier to do so?
Easier, I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I decided to share my personal journey as soon as I got sober.
Okay.
I wanted to make sense of my failures. And the only way to make sense of your failures is to make them successes. And the only way to make them successes is to share them with other people so they don't feel failure. Okay. So that's number one. When I say easier, it's easier now to pick and choose what I need to share.
Okay.
Versus in the beginning, you want to pish onto the world. You want to urinate onto the world, everything. And then it hurts those that are closest to you.
Yes.
So I've refined a lot of my story to share the points that are really important for the lessons that I've learned. And I no longer need to glorify some of the darkest moments, unless it's in private and it's really important with somebody I'm dealing with it. But on a public forum, I keep in mind the people I love the most. So, because they're along my journey too. So, I'm not a big tell-all guy. I think tell-all is more about the shock value. I'm more about the learning value, my own personal learning, and somebody else, what they can learn from it. So that's it. It's my thing.
I always say that what I share is to help. What I share is a service. What I choose to share has a purpose. Like you said, not just to verbal diarrhea, which when you first come out, like when you first come out, first come out, you want to start just telling you want to tell the whole story. Yeah, and I was, oh my God, I was drunk down the street and I did this, and my pants. Right. You want to tell everything, and you're like, and my father did this, and my cousin did this, and so like you said, everybody's getting thrown in because you have a story to tell. I got a story to tell, but you do finesse that as you go along and go, okay. Well, maybe I'll mention that cousin so-and-so is part of the story, and maybe only part of the story is what's important, not the whole story.
Yeah, meaning I don't need to be on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Well, they pay me. Okay. Yes.
Listen, it depends how much, right?
Exactly. But no, I know what you mean. Like, that's the point. Yeah, it's not meant. You said a lot of times people do it for attention. They do it for shock value. It's like, but for me, it's like, what can I share that may assist you in something you're stuck in, or feeling alone in, or blocked in? What part of something I can tell you that's not salacious sounding, or gossip sounding, that's just like, I know how you feel. I went through something very similar 10 years ago, like, and here's part of the story, and they go, oh, okay, now I don't feel alone, or whatever. It's like, I'm learning also how to kind of what to give out, what to keep for myself. It's important. You mentioned something in quotes, radical honesty. I like that. What does that mean?
That means that there's cash register honesty, which is, will I steal, will I not steal? Radical honesty is, are you being honest with yourself about your motives? What's really going on? Are you being honest when nobody knows that you're being honest? Who is keeping you honest? So, because we as human beings are so capable of justifying, retelling ourselves a story in a way that makes sense to us and may not necessarily be the truth. So do you have somebody that calls you on your crap? Do you have somebody that loves you enough that says, get back on the path? That's radical honesty. And radical honesty is when somebody asks you a question, are you going to answer honestly? And what I mean is follows. You can say, I don't want to answer your question, but when you want to please that person, people pleasing was a big part of my story. When you want to please that person, or you're afraid they won't like you, are you still going to remain honest? And though I think that is really what radical, but it's more about honesty with self. Is this serving me? Is this not serving me? Am I growing? Am I not growing? Because there's no such thing as staying stagnant in life. We're either going up or we're going down. So
that's very true. You also mentioned the word spiritual entrepreneur. So when I read that at first, I'm gonna ask you to define for me. When I read it at first, I'm thinking something faith-based. As you, the tenets and missions you put in your statements and how you act as entrepreneur. That's what first comes to mind. So what is spiritual entrepreneur?
It's not necessarily faith-based at all. It's more about picking projects that I'm doing good by doing good. And what I mean by that is I'm involved now in a breathwork company that's bringing breathwork to the world. So it's I'm going to make money doing good by doing good, bringing that to the world. Treatment centers, doing good by doing good. Something that has a, I think, something that has a benefit to the world, and it's not just I'm taking from. So kind of keeping that balance, and it has a spiritual aspect. So it's bettering a human being in some way, shape, or form is kind of my goal in what I get involved in. So when I do my work with people, I'm a spiritual journey together with them. I'm not, and what do I mean by a spiritual journey? We are getting connected. There's no greater form of spirituality than me looking at you in the eye and you looking at me in the eye and us being connected. And I say, you matter. We're there. That to me is, that is spirituality. So spirituality to me is not some esoteric place on the top of a mountain. It's not,
Yeah.
and so I think a spiritual entrepreneur is just stuff that I like, and that's not to say I don't invest in things that are not real estate and blah, 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 blah. But what I like to spend my time on and is something that is making this world a better place. And my calling is people, something that is helping people help themselves. So and that to me is, some people have a calling, their spiritual calling is climate change. It's just not mine, So
I feel similar. My whole, all my shows, everything I do, it's for people. It's people to feel connected. I have a show called Extra Connections. I feel all about connection. You and I connected.
Yeah, exactly. And listen, if I could found, a religion that paid me a lot of money, I'll find that too. That'll be it. No, I'm kidding. I'm sticking with Judaism. I'm stuck there. I'll be there. That's it.
That's it. That's it. You're done. I love it. But you and I connected on your show. We did. We connected. That's why we're here again today. We good. So I want to ask you, what was one takeaway from me that you got when I was on your show?
I saw your what I liked most about you was your vulnerability, and you and no pun intended, but you truly show up in every way of your life. I like the fact that you pivoted when COVID started. You didn't take pity in yourself, and you don't take pity in yourself. You don't play the victim role. You use all your experiences to better yourself, and to me, that's probably the most admirable trait in a human being is when they take their lemons and make them lemonade, and that is something that you stand for. So, and that's something that I admire very much, because you have situations in your life, James, that you have every right to be a victim. Unfortunately, you are aware that won't help you. So you take it and you shift it and you utilize it to better yourself and others. So, that is what I saw in you.
Thank you. No, thank you. What makes you laugh?
Everything.
I love laughing. What makes Asher like just? I mean, are there certain things? Are there certain types of comedy? Are there certain just to make you?
I mean, listen. I love the first name that came to mind. I love Sacha Baron Cohen, but
yes,
I think he's hilarious. But again, I'll laugh at someone slipping on the ground too when I'm not supposed to. And
yes,
but I just had a couple comedians on my show, Jimmy Shin and Greg Baldwin. They're hilarious. I love listening to Dave Chappelle. Some of the older guys were great. So I love to laugh. It's one of my greatest medicines. And sometimes I'll just laugh at the most stupid, most ridiculous, Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumb. I mean, come on, I just enjoy it. So acting silly with my kids is really enjoyable too. So what makes me laugh is so many things. So
and I like that. I'm a big Naked Gun airplane guy. I mean, I know some folks think it's dumb, but to me it's hilarious. To me it's very smart actually. If you really watch these things, some folks don't agree with me, but I'm like, they're really smart. The jokes are really fun. Like they're really smart jokes in there. They're presented in a silly way. And to me, now I work in entertainment, so I now know that's not easy to do.
Not at all.
Not at all. So I said yes. I think, and comedians especially comedians most comedians are observational, and so they're throwing it back to us what they see, and in a way that's really funny. And so like Dave Chappelle, his last special really wasn't one of those bam bam joke things, but it was funny. It was literally storytelling and telling what you were seeing, but it was genius and it was hilarious. Richard Pryor was the same way. He would tell stories about his tragic life, but you were still laughing. Exactly. You're like, why am I laughing? But it's actually kind of funny though. Like it did in a clever way. So I think it's folks like George Carlin, all those old guys. I love them. They were
oh my God,
smart in their humor.
Yeah, there was Jackie Mason. There was it's interesting. The Johnny Carsons of the world and the Bob Hopes, they weren't my style. I may have laughed at some of their stuff, but the Jackie Masons, the George Carlins, the Rodney Dangerfield, those guys Jim Belushi,
And some of the stuff gets you like you forget. Some of it's actually really smart, folks. It's kind of just you have to look past some of the
Eddie Murphy's stuff.
Eddie Murphy.
Hilarious.
They're hilarious. So that's kind of funny. And what do you do? Because all this work that you do, giving to others, what are some of the things you do for yourself?
So I try to meditate. I pray. I write. I therapy. I have a group therapy. I study. So those are kind of things I do to nourish my soul. I exercise, just to nourish my body. And, I love travel. Unfortunately, COVID wasn't fun, but I'm going to Europe next week, so I'm excited.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Good for you.
So I love meeting with people, eating dinner. So, those are the kind of things that I do. I am a people's person when it comes down to it, yet I also need my own space at times. So.
Which is okay. I'm a people person too, and I like my own space at the same time.
Funny, I need my own space, and I don't like to be alone.
There you go. So again, we're human. We're complex beings.
Yeah, exactly.
I know what you mean. I mean, I love people, but then they get on my nerves. So I was like,
exactly.
Exactly. So that's why I have my big garden. I just hang out in the garden for a while. I'm like, okay, I'm better now. I'm okay. I'm better. I can handle you now. But I like that though. You need your space, but you like people. Can't be alone. I like that. I'm going to ask you this. Then we can lighten it up a little bit. Your first concert, again, you're a little younger than I am, but we're the same time period. Your first concert was Tears for Fears.
Yes, it was.
I love them. So I'm going to ask you, when you heard, because also one of your favorite songs is the Beatles' Love for My Friends. Okay, I'm going to tie it together, Asher. Hold on there. When their album came out and the song Sowing the Seeds of Love came out,
yes.
Did it remind you, was it very Beatles-esque?
Very Beatles-esque. And by the way, that was the concert I went to.
Oh, was that one? Okay, yes, okay.
It was that concert.
Folks, I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. I thought maybe it was the first one, the one from Songs of Big Chair, but no, I didn't know that. Okay.
No, it wasn't Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Right. It was the next one. It was Sowing the Seeds of Love.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember what year it was. Must have been 1980 what?
I think 89 or 90.
Yeah, not 88 or 89, I think, or maybe it's at 90. The first concert I was supposed to go to was Whitesnake, and then my parents said no.
Here I go again.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, with Tawny Kitaen, right?
She just passed away recently.
Yeah, I know.
I knew her, so I was like really sad to
Yeah, very sad. But yeah, so but that was it was very Beatles-esque for sure.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a Beatles fan then, so it's interesting. At that age, I really, it's funny, Madonna, Cyndi Lauper, and then Guns N' Roses.
I've seen them twice.
Def Leppard. I've seen Guns N' Roses, I think, like 13 times. But
oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah. But then, then I.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I can ask you in a second.
No, and then I started listening to, the Stones and Neil Young and the Beatles and that, like the Who, and just that really, Clapton. I was like, whoa, it's real stuff.
I grew up with, I had hippie parents, so I grew up with all that stuff growing up. I mean, I'm a 70s kid, so I grew up with all. Right. I mean, I say Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, all of them, Joni Mitchell, Carole King, all that, James Taylor, all that. And then I had a parents who did like rock, so it was Kiss, Aerosmith, all that kind of stuff that was going on, David Bowie, all that. I was going to ask you, with Guns N' Roses, have you seen him post Chinese Democracy? Have you seen them in concert when it was basically?
Oh yeah, I actually saw him the last couple of years in concert.
How was he?
He actually was great.
Okay. Yeah,
no, they did a great job. I saw him once post Chinese Democracy by himself, and he was horrible. In Vegas, and then but when they got together, the reunion tour, Axl really put himself together and did a good job. I mean, Slash destroyed it. Wow. So Slash is such a great guitarist. So
he is. Well, yeah.
I mean, I saw Motley Crue, and God bless them. They were not. I mean, I saw Dr. Feelgood concert, with Tommy Lee in the cage, and Tommy still got it, but Vince, I think he needs a little training. So sorry, Vince.
Hi, Vince. That happened. That happens. I mean, I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing back in the 80s and on the Sunset Strip. So yeah, I knew all those guys. I saw those. I used to go to Rainbow, Madame Wong's. I saw all those places when I'm a true, you and I both are LA natives, so I mean, we know how it is. It's very
Absolutely.
my kids, when they turned 50, they were not going on the streets like I did. I should not been out there seeing things. But again, it grew me up, and I have experience.
Make you who you are. So
Make who I am, right? No apologies, right? No apologies. It's like it was what it was.
Exactly.
It is. You also mentioned something that I wanted to mention as we start to wrap things up a little bit, which is Transcend, which is your thing you started, and now it's 12 years old. 12, 13, almost 13.
Almost 13.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because it's a business also, right? You know what I mean? It's a business. Has it been hard or easy to do this? Because I know there's a human element to this, but there's also a business element to it.
So parts of it extremely easy, parts of it extremely difficult. So, from the business aspect. So 2.5 years ago, I told my Joni, who was my CEO of my operation in Houston, she became the CEO over everything, because I determined that I didn't want the owner to be the CEO as well. I wanted it run completely clinically, and I wanted the separation of church and state. It's kind of the radical honesty thing is, if I'm running a business and a helping business and I don't have an accountability in some way, that's not radical honesty. I don't care how honest I am. So I had to act what I preach. So, and that's been a battle, an inner battle, is how do you make money on something that you love to give away for free? So I say that's the most difficult part. Yet on the separate part is, to create a community of people who learn to love and support themselves and accept themselves for whom they are and see that they're worthy of love no matter what. What greater gift can there be than that?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm your number one fan, so I just want to say
thank you
for your time. And I do. You have a great smile, Maury. Great smile. So I'm your number one fan. Thanks for being on the show. I'm gonna get you again on my next show. When you get back from Europe, and also when we get back, we should get together and have coffee or something.
You know what? That's wild. I was just about to say. Now that we're open, let's go grab some lunch, some dinner, some sushi, some coffee.
That sounds great to me. I want you to tell people who are listening or watching where they can find Transcend and your podcast. Anything else? It's your turn to plug.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well, you can find my podcast called Showing Up with Asher G or Asher Gottesman at any of the sites. So you could Google it and it'll give you a link, any of the sites. And I'm at the Asher G on Instagram, and I do respond if you DM me. So if you have anything you need to ask, AsherGottesman.com, and Gottesman is G-O, T as in Tom, T as in Tom, E as in Edward, S-M-A-N, so Gottesman. And then Transcend is Transcend Recovery Community. And it's not just for addiction, it's for mental health and for any areas that you're struggling. Please reach out. No, you don't have to be alone. DM me, email me, reach out to me, and watch and subscribe to our show, Showing Up, even if you only listen to James's episode.
Start there at least. I'm a little biased.
Exactly.
Start there.
Test me out on that one. If I'm good, go to the next one. So, James, thank you so much for having me on.
That is hilarious. I like that. And I'm James Lott Jr. You can follow me. We're all James Lott Jr.'s are sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. A Lot of Help is on Facebook. ALotofHelp.com is my website. I am a certified life coach and a professional organizer. If you need to use me for anything, please use me. If you're afraid, talk to him. And when you come to me first, I can get you to him. We can work it all out. There are many avenues to get to Asher. We'll get you there. Everyone, please be kind to yourselves, be kind to your community and each other. See you next time.